So I am Janet Cowell. I am very proud to be mayor of this great city. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, all of the support you have given me and this entire council. We could not do the jobs we do without all of you. So I will also want to thank Nick Neptune for welcoming us. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Fort for co-hosting this event and kicking us off this evening. Imam Dr. Talib, thank you so much for that prayer during this holy month of Ramadan. It seemed so fitting to have you here. And I also want to thank the entire council, right, for your service and your partnership and hard work. I want to thank the city manager who leads us with steady hands through all the tumultuous waters. And of course, the entire city staff, it's a lot of the top brass and everybody here for everything you do. We saw in this video just how much work, thousands of people. And then also, this was the Raleigh Parks and Rec band who took time off of working the greenways, manning the parks to play this music, and they'll be playing another set. And then, of course, we have Centro outside to bring some more fun and levity. But I will say cities matter more than ever. They are where we interface with the world. It's where our basic necessities get met. It's the clean water, right? It's the transportation, the housing. And in uncertain times, it's also where we find community and a sense of meaning and safety. So they are very important also for economic growth, innovation. But tonight here we're talking about Raleigh, not just any city. And Raleigh has grown tremendously in past years. So it has, as y'all, this is 1951. This is Person Street looking south. It has grown from a sleepy government town to a vibrant and economically diverse as well as socially diverse city. And today, we rank, just weeks into my tenure, we were ranked as the #1 performing economic city by the Milken Institute. So we are, in incredible place to live. So there are 8 of us. When I'm talking about tonight, we will be talking about, sorry, I'm stumbling, the state of the city, the first 100 days, which actually hit in mid-March, and then also what's going to happen in the next 2 years. And I'm up here, but really this is meant to be somewhat of a collective exercise because we have all gotten together. There have been strategic plans about how we address the big issues in the city. And this council got together to refresh that. And while we come from very different backgrounds, different perspectives, and there are some things we don't agree on as a group, there are many things that we do agree on. And one of those was that growth has really been a defining issue in our city. And we know that past mayors and councils have grappled with how do you build the right infrastructure for that growth, how do you distribute the wealth and benefits of that growth, and how do you mitigate some of the adverse impacts as well. From this work session we had in January, we determined that there were these top priority buckets. You will not be surprised by them. Housing, public safety, transportation, and then just quality of life and resilience. Before I get into those buckets, I will say, many of you know this is my second tour of duty on the City Council. And I have been amazed, even in these first 3 months, of how much things have changed in just 20 years in the city. So I thought it would be fun to just show you a couple of flashback photos before we get into these topics. So this was my NC State dog park dress that was running, and this Bob Orr, Tom McCormick, looming in the background there, and Mom, with the family Bible administering the oath, and then here we are 20 plus years later with Judge Paul Ridgway. Mom is once again by my side, and we see Mayor Baldwin there. And then look at how much the council has changed. Mayor Meeker, the late James West, Phil Isley, looking fresh-faced back then, and today's council at our swearing in back in December. So a very different group. And these photos sort of inspired me that there's a lot of great photos from Raleigh. Of course, we were founded in 1792. There's a lot of history here. And there's an Instagram account that I love called Old Raleigh. Any of you look at that? Okay, so Ian Dunn is a photographer and archivist, and he created this Instagram account, and he works at State Archives. And so Ian very kindly supplied us with some photos to illustrate how much things have changed as we talk about these different buckets. All right, so here we see Avery Upchurch with a martini glass. And that's Alfred Dockery, and they are breaking ground on housing at Newbern Place. So this is right near the Capitol. Okay, so then fast forward. Here's a lot of our counselors and some other familiar faces, and we're all breaking ground. No martinis. Times have changed. But state of the city, despite all of these groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings and effort by many councils, we have a 37,000 unit housing shortage in Raleigh today. And we all know that the median cost of a house, I was at the Wake County housing workshop this morning, $500,000. Median rent, $1,600. So all of these things is when you don't have enough housing, the cost goes up. And so we have that challenge. What have we done about that in the first 100 days? We compiled all the votes we have taken since December and found out we have approved a potential of 3,000 additional units. So we are getting projects coming forth. And of these 13 projects, which are distributed across the city, 5 of them had elements of affordable housing. So we are definitely working on trying to increase the housing supply. What are we going to be doing in the future? One of the things we all agreed on at our workshop is we know we need mixed income, mixed use housing, integrated with transit, diverse types, so that we can continue to make progress to house people in the city. This council also feels very strongly about housing security, fair housing right, trying to provide some stability to both renters and homeowners. So those are the issues we'll be working on to come. Now, when you don't have enough housing, you end up with more unhoused. And this is a picture from 1990. So clearly this is an issue that has existed before, but we certainly heard more about it, and this council has taken a lot of actions in the first 100 days. So this is, of course, modern day. First off, I want to thank our partners at Wake County because they really pushed and opened a shelter on January 1st. We all know it's been a very cold winter, and getting that shelter open was critical to make sure people had a place to go. Many of the folks on this council voted last fall to create the Bring Our Neighbors Home program. That has put 66 individuals directly into housing, 47 families, and they are proceeding to do another 5 families from the downtown area. So that was another success initially on that first effort. And then we've also allocated $800,000 to homeless prevention. So lots more to do. We will be working closely with all of our counterparts in the county, continuing on the housing program to make progress on this issue. Public safety. This is 1929. They don't look quite as sharp as our current day police officers. This is obviously, a sort of long time ago. Lots of things have changed. The current state of our city, Raleigh is, as we mentioned with the Milken Institute, one of the top-ranked cities in the country. It is a safe city where many people want to come, but with all cities, we do have crime. We looked at the year-on-year statistics, and violent crime has been pretty much flat, including homicides. In the first 100 days, we've had 7 homicides in the city. That was the same as last year, but each one is too many. We have had a decrease in property crime of around 18% year on year. And I would particularly highlight one of the things that surprised me most as mayor is how many cars get stolen. A lot of cars getting stolen across the country. This is not unique to Raleigh, but we had a task force, and that has gone down by 7% year on year. So we are seeing some success in those vehicles. So that's sort of, and we do all of that with fewer police and fire and emergency call center than the typical city when you look at the number per population. And we are aware of that. And the other challenge we have is that a lot of the public service workers that we train and hire, they get hired by other municipalities who pay them a little more. And so we're constantly in an arms race trying to keep these folks on our staff. So what did we do in the first 100 days? Look at that. That's our young Chief Boyce on the force, and we are so excited that in our first 100 days we hired this great police chief, Enrico Boyce, who is here sitting over here. The other thing is we had a police academy graduation of 40 that got us to close to no vacancies, and we have another academy in training, and if we can hold on to folks, we will actually have 0 vacancies. And I give credit to past Chief Estella Patterson and Marshall Adams David and this council for increasing compensation and doing things to get us there. We've also been working with the fire department, very important, on fire stations. We've worked on both fire station number 1 and number 3 during this time. The other thing we did was allocate money for a new program, which is a 911 diversion call center that will work with, for mental health, behavioral health issues, and we have hired our first staff for that. And they will complement the work that Acorns already does, which is the unit that has worked with more social service needs, but is embedded in the police department. In the next 2 years, you are going to see, and I think coming up in this budget, we've got compensation changes coming. And I know that the city staff is working hard to balance that budget and put some proposals out. There's also a plan to increase the number of officers so that we can get more like peers and quit putting as much pressure on, officers that don't have enough colleagues, firefighters who don't have enough colleagues, and then continuing some of the actions that we've already done on violence prevention. And I think some of you have read stories in just the last few days of the Cop on the Block program, getting out of the cars, connecting with communities. So lots more to come on this front. Transportation. So this is Johnny Bowen. Does anybody know Johnny? Some folks actually. Frank Harmon knew him on the thing. But you will see that we have a very multimodal council. I will say Mayor Pro Tem Fort was a little reluctant to get on the bike. Everybody else looks pretty dashing on here. So what have we done in the first 100 days? We focused on some of our bus rapid transit. This is just a throwback of the first CAT bus back in the 70s and then the 50-year anniversary. And, of course, bus rapid transit. So we have been reworking some of our bid for the New Bern Avenue corridor, but we, in the first 100 days, took $20 million for the southern and the western routes on this. The other things we've done was an e-bike expansion program. So we're going to get another 80 e-bikes given out. This focuses on both low-income, everyday folks, but it's Bloomberg Foundation funded, one of the most popular programs we've done. This is 1100 Hillsborough Street. This is me. I do not quite have the joie de vivre as the woman on the Honda Super Cub, because I was on Emily's 1,000-pound e-bike in a rainstorm. This was a fun attempt to recreate that moment. And I will say, so what are we going to do for the next 2 years? We are going to be lobbying the federal government to try and keep our money. I am working with the other mayors of Wake County to write letters to the whole delegation. In fact, the mayor of Holly Springs is up in D.C. right now delivering those letters, but trying to keep the money for the bus rapid transit, highway dollars, S-line dollars, all those funds that help us keep moving. I see our transportation director nodding his head. Okay, so final category, quality of place and resilience. This is Chavis Park from the 1930s, and what an incredible resource and a unique resource, particularly in the African American community. This was built during the WPA, and this is Chavis Park today. Again, just an incredible asset for this community and part of a larger park system that makes Raleigh such a special place. In the first 100 days, we voted for the Falls of the Neuse Whitewater Park. That was 20 years in the making. We voted for the Smoky Hollow master plan that will daylight Pigeon Branch, and then also Walnut Creek Greenways, and I think some of our Parks and Rec band work on Walnut Creek Greenways, so thank you for that. Another thing we did in the first 100 days was approve Red Hat changes, as well as the expansion of the convention center. This is a drive-in movie theater from back in the day. So another exciting thing. Coming more towards resilience, you can see Councilor Christina Jones here in this photo. We have approved this master plan, and you see the rendering for what it will look like. This is helpful with stormwater controls and retention. I'll just mention here that, of course, our neighbor city, Asheville, had just buckets and buckets of rain over a period of hours that led to really tragic results there. Raleigh has not had anything like that, nor would we are sending them their prayers for a speedy recovery. And we did have 100 City of Raleigh employees that deployed to the western part of the state to help with emergency calls, search and rescue, taking loads off the local police, as well as our water department has helped the city of Asheville recover from their water plant being completely destroyed. So we're working more and more here to build green infrastructure to absorb stormwater. We just put $10 million into alternative roads to help save a whole affordable housing neighborhood. And we also got weather radios for lower income residents so that when heat or tornadoes or storms hit, those individuals who might otherwise be isolated when the power goes out, will have a radio and can help get help. So we got one big project we haven't talked about yet, and this is the new City Hall from 1959, now the old and demolished police station. But this is Mayor Enlow, we all know the high school. Jesse Helms, you may recognize, was on the City Council in 1959. This is our City Council in front of the new City Hall, and you can see we've got those glasses on from the 1950s as a nod to our predecessors And I will say, if Councilman Silver looks a little stiff, that's because we had to paste him in here through AI. But this is going to be amazing because it will be the customer service, customer experience center. You're going to be able to come in, get all your issues taken care of. It'll centralize everything. It'll modernize. So proud of the work that is being done here, and that this is I'm probably going to 26. I don't know. All right, we'll fudge. It's coming soon. All right. Final photo. I know. I saw this photo and I just thought this woman was fabulous, and I loved the glasses. Now, do not interpret this as if the city of Raleigh will take over DMV. But I just thought this is a good sum up photo to say we live in a great city. It's been a great city, and we want to retain many of those historical things that make it special. We also have to grow for the future. And I hope you have seen through this presentation that this council is focused on housing, on public safety, on transportation, and that quality of life and resilience that we all need. And I appreciate the partnership, the community here today to help us all achieve an even greater city in the days forward. So thank you so much for coming and being here. All right, I think that is the end, and the Parks and Rec Band is going to strike it up. And then the food and beverage and everything outside the doors from Centro. So enjoy yourself, have a good time, and we'll talk to you in the hallways.